Friends have asked me about my hunting activities, and I've told them I had feeders and food plots. They kind of looked at me a little puzzled, like, what the heck is a wild game feeder? Well, here's a short video I'm going to put together of a wild game feeder I'd set up on a private ranch here in Central Florida. Hope this will explain what it's all about. Well, as you can see, I found a nice shady little spot to set in while I made this little video. So we'll start out across this pasture. I'm about 1,300 feet away from where the feeder site's actually at. So I take off across the pasture, and not much to see here, but we do come across a cow up in here. There you can see a little white egret flying off. And there, kind of in the center to the right, see one lone old cow out there kind of staring at us. Kind of figure out what it is, and of course we scared the little egrets away. There, about in the center, you can see the fence post starting to show up. That's the fence around the feeder itself, and you'll notice up in the left-hand corner of the video, there's nothing there, but shortly you'll see what shows up. And this is on a working cattle ranch. Actually, it's the third largest ranch in the entire United States, and it is actually the largest cattle producing ranch in the United States. They've got about approximately 300,000 acres here in Central Florida. The fence is not to keep the wild hogs or deer, whatever, inside. Is to keep the cattle away from the feeder, because they would come in, rub on it, knock it down, and eat the corn out of it. And occasionally I do have them break down my fence and stuff, and I have to go out and do fence repair. Now this feeder site, the fencing is 80 feet on a side. I made it a lot larger than what's required, but it gives me an opportunity to maybe once a year relocate that feeder with inside the fence line. Because the pigs will come in, and you can see under the feeder now it's all bare ground, and they'll kind of root around, and they will literally eat the dirt out from underneath that feeder. So it becomes a slight depression when it rains, and it fills full of water, gets ponding water and stuff. So I kind of move it around, and I'll have my camera set on a fence post, and right from the corner straight ahead, about the second fence post end, you can see it looks like a garden hose carrier, and I'll put my camera underneath that. Now my hunting stand is right behind that gate you see leaning up against another fence that goes around an oak tree. And I tried to get down and get over closer to it, but I was afraid of getting close to the trees. Now you can see these mowed lanes out. Well, that one straight ahead gives me an opportunity to go up on top of a levee a couple thousand feet away and glass in with binoculars to see whether anything has showed up at the feeder or not. Now all of a sudden you can see a lot of curiosity onlookers. They must have heard the drone buzzing and either come out of the woods or wherever, I don't know. So I decided to go take a look, see how close I can get to them, whether it bothers them or spooks them at all. They're just staring at us. And they figure, well, that's close enough, and they get off. So I turn around. I don't want to be harassing the cattle out there. Now you can see those little paths like in the foreground. There's one we're flying over now, and there's another one coming up. I'll explain what those are in just a second here. Now you'll see some water standing there. We've had some rain in the past couple of days, and So we had a little standing water in the pastures and other areas. I come back in over the feeder, and I want to fly straight up to give you a good aerial overview. That's a beautiful oak hammock right behind us, the feeder there back in the woods. Now here I start up, and I wasn't sure how high I had to get in order to capture everything I wanted to. So I get up past, I think 175 feet. Tells me I'm getting high. Probably around 200 feet here. And you can just start seeing towards the bottom of the video that path mowed in through the pasture. Kind of a little smiley face or semicircle around the feeder site. That's about 40 to 50 yards away from the feeder. Now you see another one starting to show up, and it's approximately 70 to 90 yards. I didn't measure those, I was trying to eyeball them. The pasture will grow up, and there's a plant, they call it broom sage, and it'll get 5 feet, maybe sometimes even 6 feet tall. So someone can walk across that pasture without the pigs, if they're in there at the feeder, without the pigs seeing them. And then they can get in one of those semicircle paths and walk around to where those shooting lanes are mowed in. Now the shooting lane right at the bottom, the guy that mowed it in this year didn't know what he was doing and made it a lot wider, kind of V-shaped. Didn't need to be like that. So that's the feeder site, and we'll start heading south. West to the right, east to the left, and you see a road kind of goes off through the woods and wander back, and you see a little light green portion way in the corner there just starting to show up. That's actually the food plot that I have back there. Now there's another light green patch to the right of it. That's, I guess you could call it a swamp. It's basically just grass, but it's got water in it all the time. So it's just a clear area, nothing, the trees won't grow in it because it's just stays wet all the time. And we'll fly back towards the food plot. Along that road in the center, you see it looks like another road off to the right, and that's a path through the brush or woods there that you can actually do a loop around. Now coming up just about right square in the center of the video, you see a little clear area. That's a parking spot depending on which way the wind's direction is blowing. If the wind's blowing from the north, basically from the bottom of the video, then we would park there and walk into the food plot. Now, if the wind happens to be blowing in a different direction from the south, which would be from the top of the video down, I felt comfortable enough to drive further in past that white spot in the road, and that's where I've hauled some shell fill in earlier this year. And right square in the center of the video, you can see another area. It's right there at the bottom of the video now where you could park and then walk around to the stands. So the deer wouldn't pick up on scent or pick up on noise, maybe you're closing the door on your vehicle or whatever. But that's the food plot, and it's about 1,800 feet behind where the feeder site is. Right now I'm about 3,500 feet away from where I'm at, and I didn't want to press it any longer or any further. So I decided it's time to head back. Now that there, what you're looking at is the Taylor Creek Reservoir. It's about a mile and a half wide there at the widest spot in the foreground. and it runs about 2 to 2.5 miles, actually almost 3 miles straight back. Now where those two white lines come together, they're kind of right at toward the bottom. I'm at the apex of those, way down there in that tree, and that's how far away I am. So I'm headed back now, kind of looking around. Now that almost on the horizon, you see like a little white spot. That's actually where a water plant is that will pull water out of the reservoir, and that's about 2.5 miles up towards the north, and that actually is up towards the northern end of this particular hunting lease property. And here we're flying back over towards the feeder, and there you can see the lines in the pasture where it's been mowed in for shooting lanes. And you can see that one goes off kind of towards the upper left. That actually lines up with the dike or levee where you can set up on and glass in to see whether any wildlife has showed up. This saves you having to park somewhere off and try and walk all the way in only to get there and find that there's nothing there, or maybe they've caught your scent before you got there and left, and you've wasted maybe a half hour or more of your time. And this time I'm getting warnings that, hey, the battery's going low, time to land. So I swing it around, take another quick look at the reservoir and the area, and so I just time to put her on the ground. Well, if you've enjoyed this little video of what a feeder site kind of looks like, I have another one that I made specifically of the food plot that we saw towards the latter end of the video. I was going to put them together, but it strung it out a little bit too long, so I broke it up into 2 parts. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you like it, then go view the other video of the feeder or the food plot, and you'll see what that's all about.